Alright, I'm done.
I love what I can see. What's expected of you? What's expected of me? Oh, what the hell can I do to fill the pages?
Jack Stauber, a name that needs no introduction. You have probably heard of his songs before, like Buttercup, Baby, Hotline, Two Time, and Oklahoma. Jack Stauber is one of the most unique indie artists that has broken into the mainstream, with his unique nostalgic production underneath a strict and dark lyrical work that tackles subjects like love, depression, and loneliness that have resonated with audiences. However, despite how incredible his music can be, one of my favorite aspects about Jack Stauber's work is his music videos. Whilst most YouTubers go in depth with analyzing his music or one of his videos, I'm really fascinated by Stauber's other creative outlets he uses to accompany his music. They are weird, they are unworldly, he makes audience feel creeped out, and they break them. In fact, because of his huge catalog of music videos with varying unique styles, he's most considered to be a multimedia artist, which yeah, I agree with that. In an interview by New Retro Wave, he explains how he started out just making videos and animations at a young age. It's also important to note that from what I've watched and read about him, it's all made by him. The music, the direction of the video, the assets, the claymations, the editing, the VHS recordings, all of it is done by him, showing the unique dedication to his work and how much he pushes himself as an artist. I think it's worth discussing this other side of Stauber that gets overlooked in his otherwise successful music career. These videos are more than just another way to push his music, it's another outlook he uses to express something more deeper than it's initially applied. Let's start with his most unknown style and work our way up to what he's most well known for. I rarely see anyone talk about his earlier works without having to mention it subtly in like a retrospective, because I think they deserve way more attention. These VHS home-style filmmaking is what I particularly like about these. They feel like someone used their spare time and made something on the fly. It's amateur, shaky, awkward, and I love it because they fit so well with the accompanying retro feel music. With the video Koi Boy, the story is about the character's issues with communicating his feelings to someone, even though he loves her dearly. It's reflected in the video quality, very unclear and hard to be certain if what's shown outside is his true feelings. The shakiness of the shots could suggest his uncertainty of this relationship. There's a level of insecurity portrayed through the lens and the characters. It initially seems simple in execution with its style, but it's so effective with what the story Stauber wants to tell. In the next example, Tenderly, the music again is about the issues of communicating with your partner and questioning their relationship. The home video style being mixed in with other footage perfectly encapsulates the deeper feelings they can't express, like the rain reflecting on his sadness and the distortion reflecting on the confusion between them. You feel their relationship sort of spiraling out of control, not knowing how to express themselves properly, maybe due to their insecurities or their trust towards each other. It's so beautifully told. But this home-style filmmaking isn't restricted to his more emotional songs. I mean, look at Challenger and Pavlov. It's definitely made by a fucking lunatic. It's crazy, really absurd, and pushes the limits of the VHS style with this also batshit insane music as well. Stauber uses this style to push his music to familiar feelings we have felt before, or to new territories we rarely experience, whether it's struggling with communicating or being high on acid. I do miss this style, as he mostly puts his time on other methods that I'll get into in a second. But I wouldn't say because he has more money or more help from others, but he already pushed the limits he wanted to tell through the home video style already, and wanting to push his creativity by going with more complex and exaggerated mediums like
We could try to come by then.
Okay, I think this is a similar vein as home video, but let me explain. I think this style is probably more unknown than his home video style. But for 3D anime videos, it's sparingly used. Only a couple of music videos that Stauber has actually used it in. But he directs it to tell what I think is his rawest and unfiltered emotions he ever expresses. Throughout these 3D anime videos, there are two noticeable details. One, they lack any sort of detail or texturing. The assets shown are fairly blank and empty, but uses it to create a weird isolating feeling. You recognize these objects, but they are also so disconnected from the real world, almost liminal or out of this world. And two, they are never screen recorded. Instead, they are recorded what I presume to be a VHS recorder, continuing to further the style of nostalgia. It's very reminiscent of our young selves when we played on CRT computers or TV sets, and CGI around the 90s was starting to take off, but still had that uncanny valley look. That's what this style reminds me of, and Stauber pushes these aspects by invoking a message of sadness and decline in their mental state.
Another broken one.
The music video Better is such a great example. The video itself is unorthodox, unclear, it messes with your senses, making you feel so many mixed emotions from it. Dread, hopeful, complex. It's confusing and distorting, becoming overwhelming to watch. It doesn't help that the music adds to this aura of sadness, like a fading memory happening, and the voice slowly losing itself, doesn't know how to react or respond. It's conflicted, just like the listener. The song is about a failing relationship, and you really feel that through the visuals and the song. It's jarring to experience, but you understand where Jack Stauber is coming from, and to express his feelings through this method. It's incredible, yet heartbreaking to watch. Despite the limitations, he uses 3D animations to create the most unique way of portraying sadness through these vintage CGI effects and 90s aesthetic. I can't say if I've ever encountered something like this before. It's hard to ignore this subject without mentioning his animation style. Of course, you have his Claymation, which will be next, but he started with animating in 2D in the first place. I mean, look back at his work in 2016. Again, the common thing you will notice in his work is his use of static, continuing the path of nostalgia. However, his animation style is similar to those of those old psychedelic animations, specifically from Fletcher Studios, the ones that made those old Popeyes and Betty Boop animations. He mentions in an interview that those were the cartoons that were the most influential to him, and you can really tell from this. He pushes the boundaries and exaggerates the character's body proportion to something so uncanny and disturbing. Of course, his most well-known 2D animated short would be the Why Is It Still Raining, which it's fantastic despite how simple it is. He manages to create clear yet emotional expressions from his character designs. But the one I think perfectly encapsulates this style is with New Normal. It starts off quite innocently enough, but it goes down really quickly.
Step on into the new normal.
Even without listening to the music, there's just this presence of existential dread with the distortion of the visuals and just the graphic imagery. And that's done in order to tell the story of a person trying to process the grief of someone close to them. We don't know who this person was, but with how the visuals are shown, we can say that this was someone who meant a lot to them. With the lyrics remembering the simple words they have said to them, putting up a fake smile despite the trauma, and having to accept the fact that they have to keep moving on. Adding on to the music, the visuals amplify it. The scene where the guy waves and then his face dissolves suggests his inner feelings consuming his insides as he can't handle them. The screaming could be a cry for help in which no one will help him. The twin babies, when one dies, the other can't process living without his sibling and dies with him. In the final scene of the person sitting on a chair as he peers onto another one. Look at how Stauber depicts this person. He looks barely human as his grief limits his ability to function as a person, and the empty seat left alone, unmoved, that was previously owned by that person they care about. It's left there for you to interpret it. Maybe it could be someone that the listener lost as well. A family member, a loved one, a sibling, who knows? It could be any one of them that was on that empty seat. Okay, I can't lie, yeah, maybe this did make me emotional, and yeah, maybe it did break me a bit, okay? I can admit that. His mixed claymation / real footage style is his most popular, and it's the one he consistently makes nowadays. At first glance, it's very poppy, energetic, and all over the place. It feels down to earth because, well, you got Jack's real self present in the music video, and the subject seems pretty innocent, like Dinner's Not Over and Baby Hotline. It's fast paced, so you don't really have enough time to process what the lyrics are about, or the amazing combination with real life and claymation, thinking that it could just be a flashy video. And it certainly is one, but it's also important to understand the intention that Jack Stauber is trying to communicate through this medium. Let's take a look into Baby Hotline.
Baby hotline, please hold me close to you.
When hearing the music and looking at the video, it seems to be pretty catchy. The beat is funky, the visuals are colorful and appealing, there's nothing that seems off about it. But once you focus deeply on what the lyrics are saying and why Stauber uses these visuals, it becomes more disturbing. So essentially, Baby Hotline is about a mother trying to connect with her dead baby. Yeah, that's how dark it got really quick. The narrator, presumably the husband, is trying to downplay their child's passing. You can see through the visuals, he doesn't put a pleasant image onto his wife. Look how he interpreted her, almost looking like a mess or a prostitute. Look at the claymation segments, with the wife's fingers through her husband's ears and the two hanging baby heads on her fingers. It's symbolizing how the wife is still grieving over the passing of her children, but the husband just wouldn't accept her depression and actively ignores it, covering his ears and smiling, thinking that solves his problem of her complaining about them all the time. Because we are in the perspective of the husband, that's why the song is so upbeat, and seemingly nothing is wrong. But there is something wrong, and it's that the wife is depressed and miserable that her babies are dead, but he ignores it and goes through his life like nothing ever happened. By the end of the song, she's still grieving as she continues to try and communicate with her babies to no avail. The fact that this whole music video was communicating in just 43 seconds is mind-blowing. Like, I couldn't think that Stauber managed to tell a story like that in such a short time. Using these mixed mediums of live action and claymation, it deceives you because we are so familiar with these styles that we thought this is another example of those happy and pleasant images we so fondly remembered. But no, it's the opposite. In the law of the cases, it's not what it all seems like. Let's look at this shorter videos for more examples. Hope, a 27-second claymation about a girl's experience with drugs and how everything is gonna be okay until she overdoses. It's so quick in its execution, it doesn't make you think until the end. Again, using claymation as a way to portray something so joyful, but it's so entirely different than what the song could initially seem. Cooking with Abigail is about the expectation that's expected for a young girl by predatory older men, viewing and funding the show, and also trying to silence the truth before she could process what's really happening. Abel is about a cow that wants to break free from his confines for being stuck in a milk farm, and imagines himself breaking through that barrier only to be back where he is at. I think I made my point here. It's not that claymation hasn't been used to go in depth about much darker subjects. Look at the works of Adam Elliott. His claymations have been revered for its incredible storytelling containing such depressing subject matters. Take a glance of Don Hertzfeldt's work. It looks and sounds innocent enough, but once you watch it, it's an overwhelming masterpiece that explores memory loss or the passing of time. What I'm trying to say here is that there's more that meets the eye. Jack Stauber is aware of what style, what message, and what music that's being achieved, and lets the listener figure out what they think. All of it has a meaning to it. It's just what we discover in them besides what's being initially presented to us. And that's what makes Jack Stauber probably one of the best artists to ever grace the internet.